He would do a lot of foul shit. Like behind the scenes, he would do some foul shit, like hating on, like doing things with people I done business with that he done business with. He would say shit that I was like, he said that to you?
Right.
I was like, yeah, so all right. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and niggas don't know what they like till they see somebody with it.
The verdict was pronounced earlier. The lights in the courtroom went off and the media frenzy started to move elsewhere. Diddy may have believed that the commotion had subsided for a moment, allowing him to finally breathe. However, 50 Cent reappeared just when silence appeared to be approaching. This time, it was a video that rekindled the fire rather than court documents or press releases.
It should start looking gray if you ain't got nothing on it.
Got the new baby oil, bro.
This ain't baby oil. This is
Nigga, you ran through 8,000 jars of them in prison.
You know what I mean? He was Ashy Larry.
relax.
I mean,
I still got everybody looking.
50 Cent is making a comeback, using a video produced by artificial intelligence to mock Sean Diddy Combs. This time, Diddy is shown in the video dressed as a baby oil character. The baby oil that was confiscated from Diddy's residences during his legal issues is mentioned in the piece. However, it is merely 50 Cent's most recent remark.
Combs and 50 Cent. These two go back a long time. They have been rivals for a long time. And this week we learned that, at least from Diddy's side of things, this feud apparently went far beyond words. 50 Cent's name came up during the testimony this week of Capricorn Clark. She is a former assistant of Sean Combs who went on to become the head of marketing for his Sean John clothing brand. Clark rose successfully and professionally through the ranks of Diddy's world during her time working for him, which stretched between 2004 to 2018, so she saw a lot. Clark claimed that Diddy would threaten her, and she says he even kidnapped her in 2011. All of this matters as we build up to how 50 Cent kind of factors into what she said on the stand. Now, Capricorn Clark started working for Bad Boy.
It wasn't just any video either. It was a strange, piercing spectacle that was purposefully created to be as degrading as possible. An AI-powered invention that quickly gained popularity on the internet. At its root, Diddy was a digital doppelganger that was uncannily lifelike, rather than the genuine Diddy. While marketing a bogus baby oil brand, he was shirtless, his body sticky with baby oil, and he was dancing in extravagant ways like a crazy Super Bowl commercial totally out of control. Towers of bottles glistened in mocking spotlights behind him. The turmoil was told in a deep-faked voice that was frighteningly similar to his own, turning the aftermath of that notorious raid into a macabre comedy. It was brutally timed. Diddy believed that the verdict would allow him to rebuild his reputation. But 50 Cent's scorched earth parody turned relief into yet another humiliating tempest.
Not surprising, since Death Row was ran by perhaps Diddy's most hated enemy, Suge Knight. Clark said that one of her good friends had a baby with Suge Knight, and that's how she knew him. And in perhaps the most shocking story from her testimony, Clark claimed that shortly after she started working for Diddy, Diddy and his security guards took her to Central Park after dark, and Diddy said, quote, "He told me he didn't know that I had anything to do with Suge Knight, and if anything happened, he would have to kill me." It is an allegation that paints Combs as someone who is ready to take a life. But as Capricorn Clark's testimony continued, she brought up another rival of Sean Diddy Combs and another allegation that he made an ominous threat of violence. Clark testified, when working for Diddy, they went to a press event at MTV and 50 Cent was there. And just wait until you hear what she says Diddy told 50's manager. 50 Cent's real name is Curtis Jackson. He rose to fame in the early 2000s. You might remember songs like In the Club. You might remember that he was the leader of the rap group G-Unit. Now, 50 grew up in Jamaica, Queens, New York. Diddy, also a New York native. He was born in Harlem, grew up in Mount Vernon, New York, just about 20 miles away. And even though they both had success in music, they both rose to fame representing the city of New York and the rap scene there, they have been longtime rivals. In 2006, 50 Cent released a diss track about Diddy. So almost 20 years ago, this goes back a long way. And in that diss track, he says, quote, "Who shot Biggie Smalls? We don't get 'em. They gon' kill us all. Man, Puffy know who hit that expletive. Man, that expletive soft." Now, Now, 50 is accusing Combs there of knowing who killed his friend, the notorious B.I.G. Christopher Wallace. Wallace and Puffy were incredibly close, but Wallace was shot and killed in a drive-by shooting in Los Angeles in 1997, and no one has ever been charged for pulling the trigger. This all happened during really the height of the East Coast-West Coast rap rivalry of the 90s, which involved Suge Knight, who we mentioned earlier. 50 Cent has also accused Diddy of orchestrating the murder of death row rapper Tupac Shakur, who died in 1996 in a Las Vegas drive-by shooting. This is Dwayne Keith D. Davis. He was arrested in September 2023, and he is the only person facing charges related to Tupac's murder. But 50 Cent has continued to push the allegation that Sean Combs either knows something or did something for Tupac to end up dead, though Diddy has denied that. But in a 2023 Instagram post, 50 wrote, "Damn, so Pac got lined by Brother Love, LOL, time to lawyer up, expletive might get sticky," with a pic of Suge Knight in a car with Tupac. Diddy, who has a lot of names, Puff Daddy, Puffy, Puff, and Brother Love is one of those other names. Now, from Diddy's side of things, again, he's denied having anything to do with Tupac's murder, and he's also denied having anything to...
The release came down with the accuracy of a blow. No long rant, no over-explaining, just a single caption. Make sure your ego is hydrated if you have 1,000 bottles of baby oil. The internet blew up after just one line. The AI clip took over. Every feed in a matter of hours after receiving millions of views, it dominated rather than merely trended. YouTube was inundated with reaction videos, like wildfire memes proliferate. Fans searched for hidden gags among the satire of the TikTok, remixes that appeared non-stop. This was not mere teasing. Everyone still remembered the raid. Therefore, it was a deep wound. The world had seen those pictures that went viral, showing a room filled to the brim with baby oil boxes, resembling some strange sight from a warehouse. The memes fluctuated at the moment, and then there was uneasy quiet. However, with a single devastating digital blow months later, 50 Cent Drive brought everything back into the public eye. Did he too? Consequences were immediate. According to insiders, he snapped and destroyed a laptop as soon as he spotted it. Others said he lost his temper and left a meeting in the middle of a sentence. His group rushed to take charge of the story, but it was too late. The video had become untouchable internet history. The skit was being recreated by TikTokers. Even big corporations began to capitalize on the joke, and celebrities shared it with their own messages. The cultural wave was unstoppable. 50 Cent used satire as a weapon, not only to annoy,
On Monday, also in New York, making an appearance on the Drew Barrymore Show.
What are you looking for? And do you know what you're looking for?
Yeah, but just real friendship.
Friendship, but not with Diddy.
You ain't a friend of mine. You ain't no kin of mine.
50 posting a sweet picture of him and Drew on Instagram, but the caption tells a different story.
I have a lot of fun.
Here I am keeping good company with the Drew Barrymore Show, and I don't have 1,000 bottles of lube at the house.
I'm not panicking. They are.
50 referring to the over 1,000 bottles of lube and baby oil found when the feds raided Diddy's home in March. One of many details revealed in his now unsealed indictment, which laid out the charges for his arrest.
I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution.
While Curtis gave his 2 cents on the situation,
People love tragedy. You know, more than they love good news, no matter how you look at it.
Diddy's attorney, who maintains the rapper's innocence, tended to a media frenzy Tuesday morning.
I expect we're going to have an arraignment at some point later today.
This office is determined to investigate and prosecute anyone who engages in sex trafficking, no matter how powerful.
Interview 728, 849 brands of baby oil were unable to resist, incorporating clever allusions into their advertisements and capitalizing on the viral phenomenon. The mockery had spread around, the world unavoidable and unrelenting. But there was weight beneath the laughter. It was more than simply a meme. served as a reminder. Diddy had barely escaped the most severe legal repercussions. However, the parody forced everyone to face the unsettling reality. The strange facts, the rumors, and the raid remain unsolved. 50 Cent wasn't just making a joke. The world had to look again because he was redefining the conversation. The follow-up was a straightforward film of 50. People laughing continuously for 30 seconds before grinning. This isn't even the actual video. Hold on to see what comes next. It was more than simply a joke. The shot was a warning. It had a terrifying subtext. He was observing. In the vault, he kept more. And he wouldn't quit until Diddy's reputation fell apart. Industry insiders promptly referred to it as a PR catastrophe. The tarnish the AI spectacle left behind could not be removed by a well-crafted interview, news release, or spin campaign. The images were ingrained in society. Even Diddy's closest supporters started to back out. The invitations disappeared. Deals were quietly canceled. In both studios and boardrooms, his name had turned into a radioactive substance. Because it ceases to be entertainment when 50 Cent makes fun of you and the whole internet joins in. It turns deadly. There were no crimes depicted in the AI spoof. There was no violence depicted. It struck harder, nevertheless, in many respects. It eliminated the air of authority Diddy had used to establish his empire, turning him into a joke, a meme, and a target of mockery. And beneath each chuckle, people continued to return to one persistent query. Why so much baby oil? For what? Reason was it concealed? Why did those details come to light during a raid? What else hasn't surfaced yet if that was genuine? Even though the AI film was phony, the anxiety it evoked was ruthlessly real. 50 Cent was fully aware of that, while Diddy's staff frantically reported, flagged, and attempted to bury a video that the world had already declared to be inviolable digital folklore. He had transformed humor into warfare by using satire as a weapon to destroy an image.
When he was asked about a beef with 50 in a 2018 interview with the radio show The Breakfast Club, Power 105.1 FM.
Hey, yo, I don't have no beef with
I don't know why.
With Fifth. He loves me. He loves me.
Do y'all really
can't
have
see
a
it?
beef?
I mean, y'all can't see it.
No, we can't see
Y'all
it,
can't
man.
see that he loves me?
But see,
You really, hold on, you really think that's hate?
If you look at 50's social media, you can see he has a lot of posts about Diddy. And this is what he posted the day that federal agents in Miami raided Combs' mansion ahead of his arrest on the charges that he's now on trial for. 50 Cent posted on X, "Now it's not Diddy do it, it's Diddy done. They don't come like that unless they got a case." 50 Cent also included a link to his G-Unit clothing brand in that post. While Diddy in the Breakfast Club clip said that 50 Cent actually loves him and there was never a beef, on the stand this week, Capricorn Clark said otherwise. Clark said that she was at this press event at MTV with Diddy and 50 Cent was also there, all of this happening in New York. Clark said, quote, "After the interview wrapped up, myself, Puff, and Chris Lighty got in the elevator." Clark said that Lighty was an entertainment manager who, on paper, was managing Diddy at the time, but was also 50 Cent's manager at the time. Prosecutors asked Clark what happened in the elevator, and she said, quote, "Puff told Chris, because they were having some sort of issue, like, I really don't like all the back and forth. I don't do that. I like guns." The prosecutor then asked, "What's the issue with an individual?" And Clark responded, he had an issue with 50 Cent. She said Combs was very serious when he said that. In this case, it has become common to hear testimony from witnesses about alleged threats by Diddy. In fact, several witnesses have said that Diddy regularly threatened to fire people, to beat people, like his former girlfriend Cassie Ventura, and in this case, making a threat involving firearms to settle a dispute per the testimony of someone who was one of his closest associates for more than a decade. Invoking gun violence and some sort of veiled threat, that could be scary for some, but apparently not 50 Cent. On Instagram, 50 posted right after his name came up in the courtroom, quote, cut, Cut, wait a minute, Puffy's got a gun? I can't believe this. I don't feel safe, with a picture that looked like an AI image of 50 Cent on a movie set looking serious. And he wasn't done. Shortly after that, he posted another AI image on Instagram of him in a Yankees hat with a very scared look on his face with the caption, "Oh my goodness, itty bitty Diddy wants me dead. I have to lay low." Sad face emoji. "I think I'm gonna hide out at the playoff game tonight, LOL. Then the next day he posted what he did that night. He went to the NBA playoff game between the New York Knicks and the Indiana Pacers in Indiana. And you can see him here in a picture on the floor in a shirt that reads, quote, "Free Diddy," playing into the trolling that 50 Cent has done to Sean Combs over the years, even before Combs was ever accused of what he is on trial for. Now, Combs' trial is expected.
It became larger the harder Diddy's camp tried to cover it. Every takedown notice backfired, causing obsession to replace curiosity. 50 Cent was aware that it was the Streisand effect amplified. He made no announcements, argued, or provided an explanation. He simply used fire emojis in the comments, and the rest was picked up by the internet. He did not require a jury or a judge. He didn't require sworn testimony or an affidavit. Culture was louder than any courtroom, and he had it. The one thing Diddy lost on this new battleground was had maintained control over his image at all times. His legacy had been reduced to a meme with a single viral parody. He was no longer the untouchable magnate. Instead, he was a digital caricature, a joke associated with his own business and the baby oil person. The worst part is that this was just the start. 50 made it apparent that he wasn't finished. There were more clips awaiting them. There are more jokes available. Each one is more incisive, humorous, and lethal than the last. Diddy too? He had no protection. Laughter cannot be used. A meme cannot be silenced. It's already over when the internet starts making fun of you. The knife was then twisted by 50. He made goods out of the parody. 100 Bottles Club limited edition t-shirts, hoodies with the Diddy image created by AI, mugs of coffee bearing the words "Stay Greased." They sold out in a matter of hours. Influencers transformed sarcasm into fashion by wearing them live on video. The digital humiliation had turned into a real one. It was no longer merely a joke. It was profitable and a movement. Diddy's lawyers, meanwhile, rushed. Letters to cease and desist were sent out. Reports of defamation surfaced. Threats of lawsuits emerged. However, they doused the storm with gasoline rather than reducing its speed. Every threat from the law made headlines. Each attempt at retaliation merely served to spread the meme. No court ruling could reverse the cultural decision that had already been
like those, so it gives the jury less options to find him guilty of racketeering. It gives the prosecution less options to argue when it comes to a closing argument. And by the way, it goes back to a question we got earlier today during the lunch show. Somebody had said, how come the jury just doesn't get the jury instructions at the beginning of the case as opposed to the end of the case? Well, let's see what's presented. Let's see what's actually shown during the course of the trial. There might be insufficient evidence to actually move forward with some of these charges or some of these elements. So it's interesting. Now, what about sex trafficking? What were the arguments that the defense made for why the sex trafficking should be thrown out? And by the way, let me just say this. For the prosecution's point of view, they are arguing that Jane and Cassie were victims of sex trafficking, that Combs used force, fraud, or coercion to induce them to engage in sex acts with male commercial sex workers. Something of value was exchanged. There is a transportation element to it as well. What did they say? What did they argue for why this should be thrown out?
Well, everyone has to remember that Sean Combs is charged with 2 counts of sex trafficking, count 2 and then count 4. Count 2 kind of involving alleged victim number 1, that being Cassie Ventura, and then count 4 involving alleged victim number 2, that being Jane Doe. So in terms of their arguments for count 2 specifically, Alexandra Shapiro said, you know, the key element here is what Sean Combs knew, and that they allege that Cassie didn't really communicate her reluctance to doing these freak-offs or hotel nights, as they were later called, that under count 2, the defense says that the relationship was toxic for many reasons, something that they've been kind of talking to all the way dating back to the pre-trial stuff. And the defense also kind of pointing out, you know, they acknowledge that Sean Combs was, according to Alexandra Shapiro, she used the words regrettably violent. And so it's something that the defense acknowledged throughout the course of this trial, going all the way back to openings where they, you know, they say that Sean Combs, and they admit he was violent with his girlfriends, and in this case, Cassie. And the defense says domestic violence is not evidence of sex trafficking, something that I think a lot of people who have been following this case on social media, some people think this way. But in terms of count 4, in relation to alleged victim number 2, that being Jane, the defense says that the evidence is insufficient and that Mr. Combs couldn't have known that Jane didn't want to participate in these hotel nights. Alexandra Shapiro said the evidence showed that Jane was willing to participate. Again, going back.
The internet pounced when it sensed weakness. The conflagration was too much for news outlets to ignore. It became monologues for late-night comedians. Comedy networks produced sketches, originally a meme. It has since gained widespread acceptance and developed into a comprehensive pop culture case study on how to ruin someone's reputation. And 50 Cent was unrelenting. He started bringing up previous videos of uncomfortable interviews, dodgy sound bites, and situations that had been laughed off, but were now viewed with a darker perspective. Diddy's entire background appeared dubious as each rehashed footage gained more significance. In the scandal's shadow, the podcast tour followed. 50 appeared everywhere, engaging in conversation with guests, making up stories, and giving off cryptic hints, such as, "I've been told y'all just didn't want to listen." Additionally, each interview concluded in the same manner, much like clockwork. 50 grinning mischievously while gazing into the camera. Await the second installment. It was a battle of the mind. He didn't have to accuse directly, he just pushed. The rest was done by the internet, which also edited remixes, created fan theories, and connected the dots. Until perception turned into reality, the lines were hazy. The feeling was indisputable, not because anyone had evidence. Furthermore, in today's culture, feelings always triumph over facts. Diddy's silence, meanwhile, became unbearable. He disappeared from society.media. No words, no answers, no appearances. As a tactic, but as a means of surviving. Each image ran the risk of becoming a meme. Each word ran the risk of being weaponized, twisted, and cut. His kingdom started to fall apart. Brand alliances broke up. Negotiations for the tour broke down. Appointed appearances vanished in silence. He began to lose the support of even his closest allies in a meme war. Nobody wanted to be a casualty. And at 50, he watched with smug accuracy as it all fell apart. There was one post in particular that shocked everybody. On a throne, a bottle of baby oil with the words "King of Slick." With more than 5 million likes, the image solidified the ridicule into a legend. There was no mistaking the subtext. Legal justice was not at issue here. It had nothing to do with retaliation.